Hello and welcome to The Big Picture. The release of Kanhaiya Kumar, president of the JNU Students' Union on bail after being charged with sedition has triggered off many reactions and speculations. Kanhaiya, who was released last night, addressed a large audience of students in JNU. Earlier today, he also addressed a press conference. The media, which had mixed approach towards him and the charges he was accused of, has hailed him as a hero and declared that a new leader is born. There are also others who warn that he is just out on bail and the charges against him remain until it is dismissed in a court, and therefore such celebration is uncalled for. Today we will look at this Kanhaiya phenomenon, which he has become, whether one likes it or not, and what it means not just to the student community but also the country as a whole. To discuss this, I have with me Marwah, former Delhi Police Commissioner and also former Governor, Prof. Jodhka, Sociologist at the Center for Study of Social Systems at the JNU, Rajvir Sharma, a former Delhi University professor and an RSS thinker, Neelabh Mishra, former editor Outlook Hindi, and Saket, Bahuguna, national media convener at the ABVP. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Marwah, you were here, a couple of weeks back when we were discussing about these issues. Now that he is released on bail and what has happened subsequently, how do you look at this?
Well, I entirely endorse the view that a new leader is born. And his immediate challenge is not so much to Modi, but his immediate challenge is to the opposition, because he has occupied the opposition space completely.
That's interesting. You're doing, for the first time, I see you doing a political analysis.
No, he's a new leader because he has all the making of a very sound, ambitious young man.
Sir, but let us come to the bail itself, the bail order. You think the bail was in order?
Bail was in order.
One bail was bail in order, and what about the bail order itself?
Well, there are two views on it. My own personal view is that the judge could have avoided making all those various things in the bail order, because it's not a judgment. The judge really hasn't applied her mind in detail of what actually happened, nor has the investigation been completed. So at that earlier stage, to give a sermon, I think is a little going...
No, but you think, because some people are of the opinion that the order itself places a lot of conditions on Kanhaiya, not just on Kanhaiya, even on the faculty of the JNU.
No, there I agree. The operative part I entirely endorse. What I don't endorse, or I feel that it could have been avoided, is the sermon part of it.
Okay. Professor Rajvir Sharma, how do you look at this? Would you agree that he has become a phenomenon? Or you think that it is just a passing phase?
Honestly speaking, so far as his role as a hero is concerned, it is nothing new. He was a hero for some people in JNU earlier also, before he was arrested. And he was a hero when he was in jail, and he is hero again for the students of a particular, ideology and the teachers there. But still, I would say that today, in fact, I felt a little happy for two reasons. One, when he was saying that I want freedom in India, not from India. And he was saying that I want Azadi from bhukmari and unemployment and all this. Even here, he was not saying something new. I was happy for one reason, that it is the ideology of the RSS and BJP which he was preaching.
What is the RSS?
RSS and BJP
ideology, what is it?
Sir, if you go back to 80s and the early 90s, then BJP has said, Mukti from Bhay, Bhook and Bhrashtachar. And this is exactly what Kanhaiya was saying, right? And he was saying that we want equality, right? RSS says that we also want, RSS says that Samta Mulak Samrasta Adharit Samaj ki Rachna, hamara lakshya hai, hamara dhey hai. Now, if that is the language of RSS, and the similar language, more or less, same message was there of Kanhaiya. I don't know whether he has become a worker of RSS and BJP.
After going to jail, you think that he has changed his approach?
Maybe. Now, secondly, I was to comment that I felt that the speech which he gave in India, not from India, it could have been keeping in mind the case which he is still facing in the court.
So are you trying to say that before before all this happened, he was actually seeking freedom from India, and now he has changed?
Well, if we go by what happened on February 9th, though some people say that he was not involved in that.
The court doesn't have any evidence.
The court has given a mixed.
Court has not seen any evidence of
true.
that.
That is why interim bail has been given.
You're
The
right.
court also has given. It is not a sermon. Court has said that your bail is conditional, and condition is that you will not participate in any such activity in future.
No, it said much more than that.
Much more than
It
that.
has said much more than that.
Yes.
In fact, it has said a whole lot of things.
Exactly. Exactly. It was not a sermon. It was a realization of something.
Who has realized?
The court.
The judge has realized.
The court.
The judge has realized that Kanhaiya had actually been involved.
Kanhaiya has been given a benefit of doubt, so far as interim bail is concerned, to my mind.
Okay. Professor Jodhka, the one interesting thing is the way this boy has emerged. You must have seen him in the campus from what he was and then what he became. Now, do you see any, as a sociologist, you see a phenomena here?
Well, it's a phenomena for India. In some sense, India is a phenomenon. That we have this situation where this boy coming from a small town of Bihar, poor family, reaches not only JNU, but also is celebrated by media. This itself is something that we must, congratulate ourselves for, that India is a democracy where everyone is talking about Kanhaiya, and we are not only willing to talk about Kanhaiya, we are willing to engage with him. That he is talking about Azadi. Azadi is Azadi from poverty, from Manuvad, from capitalism and stuff like that. So he is articulating a new generation's aspiration, and this generation is not otherwise visible in cities like Delhi. We are normally, when we talk about new generation, we talk about urban middle class Indians who are kind of already in the mainstream. This chap comes from nowhere and occupies so much of space in this large country. We may agree, we may disagree with him, but this is something that we must as a country feel proud of. Whatever is my political ideology, whatever my position, whether I like him or not, but the fact that India can provide space to somebody who is actually very smart, whether you like it or not, he is actually a very smart person, as Mr. Marwah said. He's a very, very articulate person, and he understands the sentiment of young people. He could approach, he could relate to media, he could relate to large number of people, even though he very clearly says that I am a leftist, I am a part of CPI, my ideology is Lal Jhanda and Lal Salam. But he is not only talking to Lal Salam and Lal Jhanda, he is talking to everyone. And that is something which is very, very remarkable. And this is something we have seen.
Is this something new?
Yes, that's what I was coming to. We have seen this happening in last 5-6 years. It starts unfolding itself during the Anna movement. When suddenly in urban India, we have, Kejriwal emerges from nowhere. And he begins then to occupy that space, which is popular space, democratic space, political power, which used to be a monopoly of, people like, Congress party or BJP, people who had money, who had influence, who had long history of politics. Suddenly you have new kind of people emerging. That shows India's democracy has come to a point where it can afford to have leaders like Kanhaiya. It can afford to deal with people like Kanhaiya or Kejriwal or, Anna Hazare is still a kind of old hog. But there are many new people who come up everywhere and they begin to articulate and they talk sense. It's not like they're talking nonsense. If they were talking nonsense, we would not be sitting here and talking about Kanhaiya.
Absolutely.
So he's articulating anxiety and angst of a generation of people who begin to think about where India is going and what they think it should be going. And it's a question of dialogue. You can agree, you can disagree. There is no violence, there is no bullying. There is police, of course. There are other things that happen which were very unfortunate, and all of us criticize them. But I think this is a moment where we need to kind of, good that you're organizing this program where we can look at this larger context in which this has become possible.
Yes, Professor.
In fact, I do agree that this is the beauty of Indian democracy, that we provide a space to everyone, whether we agree with his ideology or ideas, or we don't. And that is the reason why democracy has become so deep in Indian soil. But at the same time, we also should know that these kind of rhetorics, which many a time are used to become, maybe you call leadership or something, but the same thing has been talked in Kerala, same thing has been talked by CPM and left in West Bengal. What happened there? I can say that the same kind of slogans were raised in Kerala and same kind
No,
of.
but earlier you said the same slogans, is
Same
also of
means
the
not-
RSS.
No, same
So,
means,
there's a-
same does not mean that the kind of slogans that were raised in
You're
JNU.
talking
I'm
those
saying the
slogans.
speech that was given by Kanhaiya after
those
coming out of
apparently
jail.
anti-national slogans which were raised, I don't think anybody supports them.
No,
And
sir.
Kanhaiya was
I'm
not
sorry.
part of it,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I think I have been misunderstood. I'm saying what Kanhaiya has said after coming out of jail, the language that he has used, the kind of faith that he has shown, and the kind of the arguments that he is giving, that he is fighting against poverty. But don't fight against each other.
No,
We can fight poverty with each other, not against each other.
No, but he is very clear also. He has taken a political stand there. There is no ambiguity as far as his political stand is concerned. He belongs to a particular
why, sir,
political
that is
group.
why I'm saying.
So I don't know why. What is your objection? I'm not able to understand.
There's no objection. I'm saying that if such kind of things were real, then they should have worked in Kerala. They should have worked in West Bengal.
Okay, that is a separate discussion altogether. Saket, Bahuguna, as a student leader yourself, as somebody who belongs to the ABVP, you think that this phenomena which has happened, the Kanhaiya phenomenon is good in the long run for student politics in general?
See, first of all, Kanhaiya Kumar is no phenomenon.
Okay.
All you see is that he's been making a political statement. He's had a political rhetorics and propaganda that he's indulging in, and it is pure politics and nothing else. You know that he has been the president of Jawaharlal Nehru University Students' Union. He won the elections, and their students gave him a mandate to protect JNU. But what he did actually was that on 9th of February, then an anti-India incident happened in JNU, and he actively participated in it. This bail in no way gives him the right, gives him, he's not been released.
One second.
It's only an interim bail. So that we have to understand.
No, 1 second.
And
Saket,
the kind of media trial.
Bahuguna, can I intervene for a minute? You said that he actively participated in it, but none of the reports which the police have produced to the court or the Delhi government's magistrate has given to the Delhi government, so nowhere indicates that he actively participated in that. I mean, that I'm just giving you I'm just clearing
So
the
the
picture.
point is, why are we indulging in a media trial? Let the courts decide. The trial will go on in the court. Let the court decide. The court has ample proofs. The court has videos of the event, and there are lots of eyewitnesses whose accounts are not yet being taken. So it is still under trial in the court.
Okay, that's exactly what I also said.
And the Aam Aadmi Party government, the Delhi government, is completely misleading people on this. You go to a private lab and you get these some videos downloaded from the internet, verified from it. This is pure lie.
So, that's okay. That may be a lie, that may be the truth. We will not get into that aspect of it. I am talking about Kanhaiya Kumar, the phenomena. You think that he is not a phenomena, he is just indulging in politics and rhetorics. Okay, I'll come back to you. Neelabh?
Exactly.
Neelabh, how do you look at this? How do you look at this whole phenomenon, whether we like it or not? Some people agree, at least majority in the panel, most of the people in the panel agree that there is some kind of something happening here.
Well, I will take you back to the 70s when the student movement in India really, it attracted the attention of everybody. And we know that even in the present union government cabinet, many of the people have come from that movement. And it was of a variety of people. There were different shades, different hues, different ideologies in that movement. But all of them nearly took around 15, 20 years to get into their own. And they have reached where they have reached now, say 25 years later. For instance, Lalu Yadav came into his own in the 90s, and he was a product of 1973 and then 74 student movement. He became president of Patna University in 1973. 74 catapulted him. 77 he became an MP. So it has been, this thing has been happening. What is new here is this, that student movement was guided by old people. They were older people. First time in Indian history, I would say, whether it's Kanhaiya or it started a bit earlier, young people are now becoming the guiding force themselves. And it's not just that. He has proclaimed his ideology, very fine. But he has also reached out, as, Marwah Saab said, that it's the opposition which should worry in that sense, because he has reached out to even different ideological hues. For instance, the left movement was never known for its proximity with the Dalit movement, which is a recent thing, and then Kanhaiya here crystallizes this. I know that even RSS has been reaching out to the Dalits.
In fact, just in the evening today, he was addressing a press conference, Kanhaiya, and he said that a question was asked to him about Afzal Guru. He said, Afzal Guru is not my icon. Rohit Vemula is my icon.
Yes, and if you look at it, if you look at the speech he made just before his arrest, there is no qualitative difference between the speech made then, a half-an-hour speech, which is also on social media everywhere, and the speech made after his release. So it's not that he has introspected in prison or anything. That has been his political stand. He is very clear about it. Now, there can be differences with people. I don't know what other forces will do who have come out in support of him.
Professor Rajvir Sharma thinks that, he is talking the language of the RSS.
Well, in a sense, okay, there is a political consensus in India. In a poor country, you can't have, nobody will say that we shall continue with poverty. Nobody will say that we shall continue with corruption. But then he has also made other things clear, For instance, he has talked about, even in his earlier speech, that you have to reach out to certain sections which have felt alienated from the politics as it is there now. So there I think he is very clear. And as far as cases are concerned, look, all student leaders who are in power now have had cases against them. And they have come through those cases. The student leadership and political leadership in India generally comes through all these cases.
But why is it? That's fine. But Neelabh, it's true that student leaders inevitably get hoisted cases against them for various reasons. But these are very serious cases. You don't find student leaders getting having sedition cases hoisted against them very often. And you think that there is any difference in this and in the past?
Well, there is a difference. Sedition cases are not hoisted routine, but they are in India. They have been hoisted routinely for quite some time. And I think this would be a test case which should decide once and for all. The whole confusion arises because of the way sedition has been translated into Indian languages. It has been translated as Deshdroh, whereas it is Rajdroh. It should be called Rajdroh. Because when Gandhi was tried for sedition, or when Bhagat Singh was tried for sedition, when Tilak was tried for sedition, they were actually Deshbhakts who were being tried for this crime. So the crime has nothing to do with Desh. The crime has to do with the regime. The regime, the power which holds state power then, and it's clearly, even the wording said, is spreading disaffection against the government. It never says
against the country.
Yes, against the country. So there have been different other laws for that.
No, that's very interesting. Let me get Mr. Marwah. Have you, would you like to respond to that? Have you thought about this?
No, misuse of sedition. The Supreme Court judgment is very clear.
No, not about the misuse of sedition, but the interpretation of what is sedition.
No, that's what I'm saying. If it is against the government and or against the current regime, and that is taken as sedition, it is misuse. And that misuse can be stopped if the Supreme Court judgment is kept in the context. Yeah.
By the police also.
By the police and
when they are filing these cases. You think that in this present case, the Delhi police did not understand what they were doing? No. Because this is what some very distinguished lawyers are saying.
There are two separate things. Delhi police registered a case and started investigating. There's nothing wrong in that.
Absolutely.
But when they arrested him, there I think they overreacted.
Overreacted to it.
Because again, here is Supreme Court guidelines when an arrest should be made and when it should not be made.
Okay. Professor Sharma, about a Rajdroh or Deshdroh ke baare mein. You want to respond?
No, I want to respond to this. See, criticizing a government is welcome in a democratic setup. You criticize their policies, you criticize their decisions, you criticize their failures, but to say that Bharat tere tukde honge, inshallah, inshallah, is not Rajdroh. It's not the criticism of the government. It is a kind of a call for a revolt against the state. And therefore I say that it is Deshdroh, not Rajdroh. Similarly, if you say Cheen ke lenge azadi, mane if you're talking of some kind of a violent revolution, I mean, tomorrow you will say ISIS is doing right.
Whether Cheen ke lenge azadi is a call for violent revolution is something which is a matter of, still a matter of conjecture.
No. What in that context?
Anyway, we will not get into that. The court is looking into that aspect. We are looking at the national and the larger issue. The larger issue is: do you think that the student politics in this country has changed and will change in the coming days also? Do you think that it has assumed a different color now?
Well,
because for a long time, student politics in this country had become dormant, and inevitably in most of the universities, even student unions did not exist. Even now, it doesn't exist in many universities.
In many universities, they don't exist even now. But at the same time, students have been a very active kind of a part of politics whenever it has come to taking certain decisions on certain issues. And even national movement is not free from the involvement of the students. They boycotted the universities and the colleges. But they did not fight for Deshdroh. They were fighting for freedom.
Again, let us not get distracted by this Deshdroh.
Politics has to
because as far as this Kanhaiya is concerned, discussing Kanhaiya, there is no evidence against him so far, because of which he has been released.
That is for the court to
slogans.
decide.
Yes, slogans have been raised. That's a different matter. Yes.
See, yesterday when the procession came, they carried a national flag, and Kanhaiya repeatedly said it. And I've been a teacher in JNU for the last 16 years. Desh ke tukdon is not the language of JNU. I know my students, they don't speak like this, they don't think like this.
Was it not spoken there?
It was not spoken by JNU students as far as my understanding was. Rest depends on the report. If it is done by JNU students, they should be punished. Whatever is the...
So far, we don't know who has done it.
We don't know.
So far, police has not been able to tell us who has done it.
No, but it's not
it has been 3 weeks.
No, if we create doubts and confusion to get a benefit of doubt.
No, we should also not spread misunderstanding. Something that did not happen on JNU.
But we should not manipulate also.
No, JNU students have not done it. I just want to clarify that, because I think my university does not think like that. University, just the students do think like what you're talking about, larger society, larger country, what direction it should take, so that it can develop, it can grow, unless we take the poor people along.
Sir, as far as the student politics is concerned, you think it has changed?
It has changed in last couple of months, partly because Indian society is changing. We have had a kind of period of lull, as you rightly said, but last 1 or 2, 3 years, students have become very, very kind of, restless. There is also a new language globally. For example, you had Arab Spring taking place a few years back in Egypt. So all over the world, there is a new kind of language which is being articulated. And as the journalist friend has rightly said, this language was not available earlier. And these leftist kids are not being controlled by the party command sitting wherever they are, or the Soviet Union or wherever it is. They are on their own. And they are now forcing a new kind of thinking. For example, this caste question, the way Kanhaiya brings it up. And it's not new. It's even the earlier also is simultaneously talking about Jai Bhim. Now, he's not a Dalit himself.
Right.
And he's bringing that as very central question. And he's not saying it just out of, political gains. He has kind of realized that, caste question is part of the class question. And class question cannot be thought about in Indian context without bringing in caste question. And the moment you talk about caste question, then you have to learn from Ambedkar, not from Marx. And I think these are new ideas that have become popular in universities because of the churning that has taken place from below, not just in the Indian society, and in the university system.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Marwah.
Amongst the students who were present at that time when these anti-national slogans were raised, there is a student who is well known for his views. And his views are no different from what was being articulated in those anti-national slogans. He is pro Jammu and Kashmir Azadi, and he has been articulating it quite openly in the JNU.
No, so what?
That is okay.
No, I'm not saying, I'm just putting the facts straight.
No, that is the national politics. Either way,
See, obviously it does influence
positively or
national politics,
negatively.
and it's good that students are coming to the forefront.
Yes, please continue.
It's good that the student politics and campus politics is out in the open. Everyone knows about it, and that is why we see so much of anger against these anti-national sloganing happening in JNU. We see that the celebration of Afzal Guru and Maqbool Bhatt has been happening in JNU for the last 2 years as well. But this time, it stooped down to such a level that anti-India slogans were raised, and slogans such as Bharat ki barbadi tak jang rahegi or Bharat ke tukde honge inshallah, inshallah, such slogans were raised, and that is precisely the reason why we took this to the entire public. We took this to the entire country, and we are asking them to decide which side the youth of the country is standing today. And we are getting tremendous support everywhere. I don't know how since yesterday there's been again a media trial, and media unfortunately is trying to show Kanhaiya in such a limelight and trying to show as if a new leader is born. These communists have been indulging in this politics of rhetorics and propaganda since long. This is nothing new in that.
Okay, so but you have no problem as far as politics in the campus is concerned.
No, of course not. We believe, in fact, in campus activism and not in campus politics. We won't even call it campus politics. Activism, student activism is very important for the country. It is important that the youth of today, who are also citizens of today, should know about the issues, should talk about
parties. India is now a country with a different political color in all the states. There is no single color which permeates all the states. But yes, in the long run, I think it is a good sign that youth has come forward now, because what we were thinking just a few days ago or maybe a few years ago was that the current generation of young people is apolitical.
Absolutely.
And it is not so. And in democracy, politics is important. It is significant.
Okay. Professor Sharma, you think it will have an impact on the national political stage?
Well, I think so far as student activism is concerned, I still say that it is not something new.
That's right.
And so far as this Kanhaiya factor is concerned, I don't think it's going to make any kind of a immediate impact, and rather even long-term impact, because he is speaking the language of their own political party.
Okay. I think on that note we'll end. But more or less everybody agrees that there is some churning happening here, and something new is also happening. But as everybody agrees, there is the students have come back into the mainstream politics. If we call it mainstream politics, or at least thinking of mainstream politics, which is a very interesting thing. But all said and done, Kanhaiya Kumar has become a phenomenon, whether we like it or not. We'll wait and watch how this phenomenon will emerge and evolve in the coming days and weeks. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture, same time on Monday. Meanwhile, have a great weekend.